Oh, good evening. Here I am. And this is the news. No. Good evening. How are you? Good to see you here. Anybody who is, if you're catching it, um, welcome to the podcast. It's 7 o'clock Monday. I'm here always, mostly. Yeah, got a bunch of stuff to talk about this week. I always say that. There's always a bunch of stuff to talk about. I can find things to talk about. I can find interesting things. I can find uninteresting things. Doesn't really matter. It's all stupid. That's what we're finding out. Yeah. Well, this week I'm going to talk about the UN, I should say, the U.S.-backed UN resolution in Gaza. I don't know what that is. I'm not sure what they mean by that. Yeah, it's U.S.-backed. So what are they saying? That they're bullying them into doing something? I don't know. So it seems ahead of an election cycle, they're going to be pushing the narrative whichever way that it seems the voters are going to want. So that's what they're going to do. So don't believe any of that kind of crap. But that's what they're doing. Also, we're going to talk about a new capital gains tax change here in Canada. So if you're a U.S. citizen watching the show or abroad, I should say, that's not really going to mean much to you. But there are some changes coming. I think they're kind of good changes. I don't know. They're from the Liberal government. And if you know anything about our Liberal government here in Canada, it's kind of a shit show. So I wouldn't trust anything that comes out of them. But we'll talk about it. Also, we're going to talk about John Leguizamo. I don't know if you know who he is. He's an actor. He's been in a bunch of stuff. He was actually recently, I think he was the voice of, I'm not sure if it was Mario or Luigi in the Super Mario Brothers. Probably Mario. Well, he's a racist. And he's not afraid to say it. So we're going to talk about what he did and why he's a racist and all that. And yeah, we'll see what you think. Also, Apple kind of jumps into the AI sphere, if you will. They're actually going to attach ChatGPT to Siri. So it's kind of a big move. We'll talk about that. A little late coming in, but better late than never, I guess. They're behind Microsoft and NVIDIA and stuff like that. So we'll see if they can get in there and get a good showing in the AI race. Also, we're going to talk about, this one's kind of funny. It's not funny. I'm the worst. Sorry, this isn't funny. But a woman was swallowed whole by a python in Indonesia. Not the first one either. So apparently this is a problem in Indonesia. Big pythons swallowing women whole. We'll talk about it. I don't know. I'm sorry. I shouldn't laugh. I'm the worst. I don't know why I'm laughing. Maybe I'm nervously laughing. It's weird. Hopefully you don't know any women that were swallowed by pythons. Hopefully you just know women that are swallowing pythons. Not the size of this one because it's a all-encompassing python. What's up, Joe? There you are. Well, hey, listen. You're like a mild racist then, Joe, if you're a racist at all. We're all kind of racist. But the difference is, are you a bad racist or are you a funny racist? You know what? We all point out the differences between each other and such. We're all prejudiced against them. These differences and such. I don't know. But anyways, you'll see what I mean when we go through that stupid article of John Leguizamo. And lastly, we're going to show a little video from my favorite X account, Clown World. A little instant karma. So it just got me. It was pretty funny. Short video, just to end it off after all this nonsense we talk about. But I'd like to end it off with a little bit of a little silliness. If you are watching and you haven't yet already subscribed to the channel and you like the channel, I mean, if you like it, obviously, subscribe, please. If you don't like the channel, well, and you watch it, well, thanks for watching. But, I don't know. You're weird. But anyways, if you want to support me, that's the way to support me. Just by subscribing, liking the content, with the little thumbs up bullshit, sharing all that stuff. The pushing the algorithm stuff helps, especially when I'm talking about things like last week I talked about T-Rump. I'm just going to call him T-Rump now because maybe the algorithm won't catch me saying that. They just throttle the shit out of the channel when I do that. I get no views on it. I'll get no views on the next couple of videos. It's like punishment. So I don't know. So it's almost not even worth talking about that shit, but I want to talk about it. So I do, but the channel gets hammered due to it. So good morning. There you go. all the way from over there and halfway across the world. Thanks for jumping in the chat. Of course, there's no notifications. I think they're punishing me. I said T-Rump last week, so can't say that. And I was talking about Fauci. Yeah, you can't talk about Fauci either. I think, he's the golden boy, so you can't talk about him either. That video, I think it got 0 views, literally, maybe 1, which is just odd. It's to see 1 view, but whatever. So, anyways, yeah. So, like I said, if you do like the channel, that's the way to support it. So, all right. Well, listen. Without further ado, let me get into the first thing here, and then we'll discuss. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Hold on. Let me pop it up. There it is. Okay. So I don't know what this means, but the U.S. has backed a UN resolution for a ceasefire in Gaza. I don't know. Is this going to happen? Is this real? I don't know. Doesn't seem like Israel is into this very much. They kind of want to, they want to put an end to this, to the whole conflict there. And I think in their estimation, the only way to do it is to end Hamas. But I don't know how you can do that. So this whole thing is just crazy. But let me read this article. This is CBC. I'm giving a little something back to the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation here. Garbage dumpster fire up here in Canada. But let's see what they have to say. So UN Security Council endorses U.S.-backed resolution for Gaza ceasefire. The United Nations Security Council on Monday approved its first resolution endorsing a ceasefire plan aimed at ending the 8-month war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. The U.S.-sponsored resolution welcomes a ceasefire proposal announced by President Joe Biden that the United States says Israel has accepted. Yeah, doesn't mean they're really have accepted, but anyways, calls on the militant Palestinian group Hamas, which initially said it viewed the proposal positively, to accept the 3-phase plan. The resolution, which was approved overwhelmingly with 14 of the 15 Security Council members voting in favor and Russia abstaining, also calls on Israel and Hamas to fully implement its terms without delay and without condition. Hamas responded to the adoption by saying it welcomed the resolution and was ready to work with mediators in indirect negotiations with Israel to implement it. This all sounds nice. Sounds good. But this happens a lot where they do this and then nothing actually happens. So we'll see how this goes. But the statement was among the strongest from Hamas to date, but stressed the group would continue our struggle to end the Israeli occupation and work on setting up a fully sovereign Palestinian state. Of course, they always say this. It's the same thing, right? That's why I'm saying it's unlikely it's going to do much of anything, but we'll see. Linda Thomas-Greenfield, U.S. ambassador to the UN, said after the vote that the council sent a clear message to Hamas to accept the ceasefire deal on the table, reiterating that Israel has accepted the deal, which is supported by countries around the world. The fighting could stop today if Hamas would do the same, she told the council. I repeat, this fighting could stop today. U.S. Deputy Ambassador Robert Wood told reporters earlier on Monday that the U.S. wanted all 15 Security Council members to support what he described as the best, most realistic opportunity to bring at least a temporary halt to this war. Whether Israel and Hamas agree to the 3-phase ceasefire plan remains in question, but the resolution's strong support in the UN's most powerful body puts added pressure on both parties to approve the proposal. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that Biden presented only parts of the proposal and insisted that any talk of a permanent ceasefire before dismantling Hamas military and governing capabilities is a non-starter. So that's what I was talking about. So obviously, they do this thing where they go, we're going to do a ceasefire. But of course, all it takes is one idiot from Hamas to shoot a rocket. Done. And if Israel says, no, we don't feel safe, or we don't feel like they're honoring their end, then they'll fire back. And it's a lot of bluster is what I'm trying to say. The leaders of Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad, who met in Qatar on Monday to discuss the proposed ceasefire deal, said in a statement afterward that any agreement must lead to a permanent ceasefire, a full Israeli withdrawal from the Gaza Strip, an end to the Israeli siege of Gaza, reconstruction, and a serious exchange deal between hostages in Gaza and Palestinians held in Israeli jails. And it's funny, actually, because the Israelis just actually went and saved 4 hostages out of Gaza. If you heard about this, but I think it resulted in about 100 casualties, which is a bit rough. But 4-1 is a little bit of a rough exchange. But far be it for us over in the West to say much about that, considering I think the U.S. The exchange rate for casualties is much higher than that. So the war was sparked by Hamas's surprise October 7th attack in southern Israel that killed about 1,200 people, mainly Israeli civilians, and saw about 250 others taken hostage. According to Israeli tallies, about 120 hostages remain, with 43 pronounced dead. Israel's military offensive has killed more than 36,700 Palestinians and wounded in excess of 83,000 others, according to the Gaza Health Ministry. Okay, can you really take that? You take that with a grain of salt. Of course they're going to say that. That's not an independent source. It has also destroyed about 80% of the Gaza's buildings, according to the UN. Okay, so, I mean, it's not horrible news. I mean, there's been worse news. I guess it's good news that they're at least trying to do something. I just don't think it's real. Yet to be seen. These ceasefires, it's like dangling carrots at this point. There's all kinds of strings attached to this shit. Like look what Gaza's saying, or Hamas is saying. Like, they're giving ultimatums essentially that they know Israel won't follow through on, at least right now. So the ceasefire is kind of pie in the sky at this point. But again, I mean, it's better, at least if it puts a halt to fighting for a little bit of time, save some bloodshed. So I guess that's a good thing. Oh, okay. Yeah, 8 months. I know, it's crazy. 80,000 months. Yeah, well, listen, just this one, okay? This round, Joe. Not the 2,000 years plus it's been going on. Yep, no, I agree with you. No ceasefire wanted. Forever wars till you drop. Yep. I mean, well, they'll take a ceasefire here, but then they'll find a war somewhere else, right? It's just you gotta keep exercising the war machine. You don't build all these tanks and guns and all this smart weapons for nothing, right? They're going to use them. They're going to find places to use them. And stoke wars from different places and then just sell their weapons to them. It's the game of war. Been going on since probably since the dawn of time, but been going on the way it's been going on since basically after World War II. So, we could just, we could. I agree with you, Joe. We could just mind our own business. We kind of live on a big little island over here. We could just stay the fuck out of other people's shit, but, what fun would that be? How would people line their coffers if we did that? How would the war machine keep going? Sad stuff. And, I don't mean to make any kind of jokes about this. Obviously, this is not, it's not a funny thing. I make jokes because I'm an asshole, but it's obviously not funny. I'm in the middle on this. I see both sides, obviously. Anybody who doesn't see both sides of something like this is just obtuse at this point. You can't say that Israel should just tolerate, bombs being thrown into their country or civilians being killed. We wouldn't tolerate it. So, and nor should Palestinians in Gaza accept the conditions they live under. So it's, there's both, right? There's both sides to this. Oh, turn the volume up. Yeah, well, my volume is up pretty high, by the way. Maybe what if I do this? Maybe if I get a little closer, that might help. You got tinnitus? Oh, tinnitus is the worst. I had tinnitus for about 6 months in my right ear when I got my wisdom teeth taken out. It was the worst. So I feel for you. Tinnitus is not fun. Mine was, I forget what it's called, but it was a transitory tinnitus. No, it was a temporary one. I don't know what it was. I forget what it was called, but it was due to that. All right, let's get on the next thing here. This one's a Canadian story, so you may not really care that much, but I'm gonna make you. All right, here we go. So they're introducing a change to the capital gains tax here in Canada. It's not really going to affect you if you are under, if you're not one of the 1%ers, essentially. But it's actually, from the looks of it, looks kind of all right. I don't know, though. You never know with these damn bills. There could be all kinds of shit hidden in there. I'm going to read this. This is Global News, one of our Canadian dumpster fires of a news outlet. But let's see what they have to say. So Liberals introduce capital gains tax changes. Here's what to know. Finance Minister dumpster fire Chrystia Freeland says the government's proposed changes to capital gains taxes, it always screws me up when they write them in red for some reason, tabled Monday are the defining measure of the parliamentary session, putting pressure on the Conservative Party ahead of a vote on the proposal. Proposed changes to the capital gains inclusion rate, first announced in the 2024 federal budget, which is a joke, by the way, have been billed as an effort to improve tax fairness in Canada and a bid to fund the Liberals' planned spending on housing and other economic plans. I roll my eyes because the Liberals are just garbage. Today, it is possible for a carpenter or nurse to pay tax at a higher marginal tax rate than a multimillionaire. That isn't fair. That is why our government is raising the inclusion rate on annual capital gains above $250,000 for individuals, Freeland said in a statement Monday. Which there is the thing, right? So you can still, as an individual, if you were to buy a property, or it doesn't have to be property, it can be stocks, things like that, and you make $250,000 or under, well, you have an exemption on that. Anything over that, then you get taxed at 50%. I think it's actually 67% now, which is one of the jumps. So she added that this tax would help younger Canadians and spur housing construction. How is this going to help younger Canadians? I don't understand that. For one, they don't have a bunch of assets. They're not really, it's not like they're in a position to be making, capital gains on much of anything at this point when they're just trying to find money to pay rent and, and survive. They can't even buy homes in Canada. It's just garbage. The average in my area, around my area, the average home price is over $800,000. So yeah, how are they affording houses? So anyways, what a stupid statement that is. Look at this idiot. If you see this picture of her with Trudeau, both two dumpster fires. It will help fund our efforts to turbocharge the building of 4 million more homes. It will support investments in growth and productivity that will pay dividends for years to come, she said. I wonder how that is. Please explain how that'll happen. Capital gains are the proceeds from the sale of an asset like a stock or an investment property. Currently, all capital gains come with an inclusion rate of 50%, meaning half the profits realized from the sale are added to taxable income in that year. Under the Liberals' proposed changes, that inclusion rate would rise to 67% on any gains realized above $250,000 annually for individuals. That 2/3 inclusion rate would apply to all such gains made by corporations and many trusts. So what that means is individually it's $250,000 annually, but as a couple, two people, it's $500,000 because it's $250,000 each, right? So that's how that works. There's a little bit of a loophole there. How will the Conservatives respond? While the proposed hike to the inclusion rate was announced in the 2024 federal budget, the capital gains changes were stripped from the budget implementation bill to be tabled separately. So here, I want to play this video. This is idiot Trudeau talking, and then Pierre Poilievre, which is hopefully going to be our next prime minister, just has a perfect response to this. Here we go.
He has an opportunity right now, Mr. Speaker, to make it clear that he stands with Canadians and stands to ask the wealthiest to pay a little more by announcing now that he will support our measure on increasing the capital gains imposition on Canadians, asking the wealthiest to pay a little bit more. He has dodged that question since the budget came out. Does he support the increase on the capital gains inclusion rate?
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, I do support the Prime Minister paying more tax on the trust fund where he sheltered all of his money. Absolutely. He doesn't, unfortunately, support his own policies. That's why he won't put them into a budget bill.
And then they cut him off right there. Notice how they do that? I'm going to stop there because it doesn't matter. That's global news for you. They stop. I'm sure he had more to say, but they stop it right there. And then they just proceed to say that he dodges the question and all this. He has his own plan to spur the economy, to spur housing. It's I don't think he's going to support a liberal bill, as it is. I think he probably knows all the language in the bill and knows that there's a bunch of junk in there. But anyways, it's all talking points. I'm not going to read any further. It's just more and more dumpster fire writing by Global News. But the gist of this is that, so the capital gains tax has increased only for basically the richest of the rich, people that are, buying, selling properties over the year, making more than $250,000 individually. And still, obviously, your principal residence here in Canada it's not subject to capital gains tax. So that doesn't change. So on paper, the bill looks okay, but because it's coming from a bunch of slithery snake liberals, I don't trust it. We're saying better, apparently increased inheritance tax also. Yeah. So, that's our Canadian government, especially the Liberal government. Let's just tax everything. We're so taxed here. You have no idea how much we're taxed. It's incredible how much taxes we pay. Carbon taxes and all this kind of all the like. It's a joke. But anyways, all right. Let me get on the next thing here. It just gets me mad because that one's we're at home. Like for me, it hits home, right? Because this is Canadian stuff, and I just can't stand this government. This government's been in power now for almost 10 years, and they're just ruining Canada to the point where I'm strongly considering moving out of the country. So, all right, let's plop that up. Okay, if you don't know who John Leguizamo is, well, he's an actor. He's been in a bunch of stuff. You'd recognize him for sure, but he's a racist, seemingly. I mean, he has no problem with overtly telling people to not consider whites and consider non-whites for Emmys and such. You know what? That's what the joke of this is. Why don't we just go on merit? If there happens to be 0 white people nominated because they're not the best, well, okay, cool. That's fine. It's just, we should just be going for the best. But, this guy likes to worry about skin color and ethnicity more than anything else. Let me read this article. This is Fox News. I don't usually read stuff from Fox News, but because I like to read the contrary end of it. And Fox News typically leans on the conservative side, which now, oddly enough, is more towards the center, which is more where I lie. But still, it's still the MSM, so it's probably a bit of dumpster fire anyway. All right, here we go. Actor John Leguizamo ran a full-page ad in Sunday's edition of the New York Times asking Emmy voters to choose non-white nominees. I know everyone is exhausted about inclusion, but not us who are not included. So that's why I took this ad out in the New York Times, Leguizamo wrote on X, alongside 2 pictures of his advertisement. Excuse me. The Liberal actor said white people are overrepresented in top positions across tech, banking, medicine, streaming, and Hollywood. America is better when it is inclusive. It is more profitable. It is more creative. Let's not give up. I'm still woke. Are you? He wrote. Oh, God. There he is. There's the dumpster fire. If you don't know who he is, there he is. I used to kind of like him, but God, now it's anybody with completely idiotic political views. I can't even look at him. Leguizamo's advertisement came in the form of a giant open letter to the Television Academy. He urged voters to see artists of color represented across all categories. I know you're tired of hearing words like inclusivity and diversity, treading water while you try to understand how to put actions behind these sentiments, he wrote. Leguizamo's letter noted that hundreds of prolific non-white artists deserve to be considered for awards, not because of their ethnicity, but because they have achieved greatness with a foot on their neck for too long. Let this be the start of a new era, he wrote. Let us not continue to whitewash our award shows. Instead, let this year be the catalyst that inspires the next generation of minority and unrepresented artists. A generation who might finally see a reflection of themselves on that stage and think, if they can, maybe I can too. How about we just don't judge people on the color of their skin or their nationality? Why don't we just, I don't know, God, I'm sure I heard that somewhere. Concerns about the award show diversity have been a significant topic in Hollywood for years. Oh yeah, 'cause Hollywood's been awesome. We should listen to Hollywood. The Los Angeles Times reported that from 2015 to 2019, 82% of the nominees across 19 Emmy categories were white. Leguizamo has been our most outspoken liberal voice on social and political issues in Hollywood over the last several years. In a May interview with Salon, the Ice Age and Super Mario Brothers actor said Latino Americans do not understand that former President Trump, here we go, President Trump was really the person who damaged the economy, not President Biden. Here we go. Because he's a Trump hater. It's just, these people have Trump derangement syndrome, man. Leave the guy out of it, man. I know he seemed to create this whole racist and woke and all these different movements. He created it somehow. God. Because Latinos, they're blaming him, Biden, for the economy, as they should, which they shouldn't be, because COVID was the culprit, and Trump not handling COVID was the culprit in damaging our economy. All right. Not that I disagree that Trump didn't handle COVID very well, but none of them did. So it's like you blame one and act like the other did so well. Anyways, Leguizamo, who has been a Trump critic for years, expressed frustration over the former president building support among Latinos earlier this year. While guest hosting Comedy Central's The Daily Show in April, the actor punched a piñata on air in response to the recent polls. It's funny because he knows better than everyone else, right? So he's got to save his Latino brothers and sisters because they're all retarded. They just don't know how to think for themselves. And, they're obviously they got wrong think going on. So they need to think like he does, and then they'll be right. Right now they're just wrong. They're just lost, I guess. During a stint as guest host in November, Leguizamo raged against Univision for hosting an interview with Trump that month. Okay, anyways, so he's I don't know what happens to these actors and actresses. It's not like he's washed up. He's doing stuff, but it's like, do they get bored? Does ADD kick in and they need to somehow be relevant? They need to get in this, woke movement and somehow be like, charging purveyors of truth. I don't understand, but he's just an idiot, if you ask me. Anybody who's peddling racist ideas, is just an idiot. Just plain and simple. All right. Yeah. It's funny because you've never seen a guy so polarizing that shouldn't be so polarizing. I don't understand why Trump is that polarizing. I mean, I get it. He's a bit of a doofus with how he talks. Like sometimes he says shit, that would be funny, if you're just hanging out with a bunch of dudes or whatever, right? That'd be funny as hell. You'd laugh and all that. But when he's saying it, when he's in the top position, arguably the world, and he's saying these kinds of things, these kinds of, off-color comments towards people and such, it doesn't make him look great, sure. But why do we judge him on that? Why don't we just judge him on policy? Why don't we judge him on things he's doing? Why don't we judge him on the fact that he's the only president in modern history that wasn't starting new wars? He was trying to do things to broker peace in the Middle East and such. He was trying to do things to better America. He was trying to put America first. There's a number of things that he was doing that you can look and say, well, those look good. But anyways, I don't know. He's always going to be polarizing at this point. I have feelings on that, and I'm not going to get into it completely in this podcast here, but never know. Maybe at some point, maybe we'll do an all-to-rump podcast. We'll just talk about them the whole time. But for now, while I get no views, if I talk about that kind of stuff, it's probably better if I leave them out as much as possible. All right. Here we go. Let's go on the next thing here. So Apple has finally done something to boost themselves in the AI race. I'm going to read this article. This is BBC, so a little bit of a dumpster fire across the pond. But here goes. Let's see what they say. Apple boosts Siri with ChatGPT and AI overhaul. Apple is to boost its Siri voice assistant and operating systems with ChatGPT as it seeks to catch up in the AI race. The iPhone maker announced the Siri makeover along with a number of other new features at its annual developer show on Monday. It is part of a new personalized AI system called Apple Intelligence that aims to offer users a way to navigate Apple devices more easily. Updates to its iPhone and Mac operating systems will allow access to ChatGPT through a partnership with its developer, OpenAI. ChatGPT will also used to be do better in writing. ChatGPT, I'll correct this for them. ChatGPT will also be used to boost other tools. That's a mess, that sentence there. Including text generation and email assistance. The test version will become available in the autumn, in the fall. Apple has faced pressure to introduce new AI features to its products after the rapid rise of rivals who have adopted the technology. After it was usurped by Microsoft as the world's most valuable company in January, Apple was overtaken again by NVIDIA in early June. See, they did actually take them over, which is crazy. So NVIDIA might end up getting the first, and obviously it's because they're both all over the AI thing. Ben Wood, chief analyst at CCS Insight, said that while Apple's new personal AI system should help placate nervous investors, its ChatGPT integration may reveal and create deeper problems for the firm. Arguably, this sees Apple admitting its limitations, given ChatGPT will kick in at a point where Siri is no longer able to help a user, he told the BBC. Apple has been largely absent in the avalanche of AI products released by tech firms in recent months. Mr. Cook told investors in 2023 that the company would approach the tech with care. On Monday, those plans were finally laid out. So here's Apple Intelligence. Apple Intelligence is not a product nor an app in its own right. It will become part of every app an Apple product customers use. Whether it's a writing assistant, refining your message drafts, or your diary, being able to show you the best route to get to your next appointment. That was weird the way it was written. In that sense, it is similar to Microsoft's AI assistant Copilot, but you won't have to pay extra to activate it. Siri, the voice assistant Apple acquired in 2010, has been refreshed with a new interface and chattier approach to help users navigate their devices and apps more seamlessly. Apple was keen to stress the security of Apple Intelligence during Monday's keynote. Some processing will be carried out on the device itself, while larger actions requiring more power will be sent to the cloud. But no data will be stored there. Given it will require a considerable amount of personal data in order to be fully useful, a dilemma facing all AI products, this is vital to its customer base who pay top dollar for its products on the basis of its privacy promises. Okay, so, and what does OpenAI and Apple deal mean? Apple's decision to integrate OpenAI's ChatGPT tech had been widely anticipated, but is an unusual move for a company that so closely guards its own products. Google and Microsoft have recently faced scrutiny over errors made by the AI products in recent months, with the search giant rolling back a new feature in May after its erroneous answers went viral. I don't know if you remember that. There was people were showing just how it would be wrong, and it would just double down on being wrong, which doesn't bode very well for people gaining trust in that. For years, Apple has refused to allow its customers to download any apps outside of the App Store on the grounds that they might not be secure. It would not allow any web browser other than its own Safari for the same reason. It only changed when forced to by EU legislation. So that's in Europe. That's not here, but is a sign of recognition that even Apple can't compete with ChatGPT right now. If so, it tells us a lot about the current power of the AI supergiant OpenAI. The firm did say it would integrate other products in the future, but did not name any. So it's a good move. I mean, it's a late move, but it's a good move by Apple. I mean, obviously they're getting pressure, and now they're probably getting pressure from major stock or shareholders due to their drop. I mean, if you look at NVIDIA this year, I talked about it on, I think it was the last podcast or maybe the podcast before, that NVIDIA has grown like well over 100% growth year over year, and Apple's at like 7. So, they're just not keeping pace. And if they continue to lose this race, they could just fall behind completely. So, like, again, probably a good move. Let me know what you think in the comments. Okay. How did they boost themselves? It sounds like they did this. All they did is put Siri's voice on a chat GPT app. Well, yeah, probably. But really, by combining the two, they just kind of, they're getting the recognition of chat GPT at this point, and Siri and bolstering it, right? So I mean, it doesn't look like they did much, but at least they're kind of getting in there. Who knows, man? Apple could have something that they're just working on in the way in the background. They're not saying anything about it right now, and they're just going to blow everybody away. You don't know, or they're just going to die, like other companies do when they don't get ahead of technology. Excuse me. Yeah. Well, I have Apple stuff, so iPhone and you name it. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just so used to it. It's not really worth the price, but I'm used to it, so I use it. So I agree with you on that comment. All right, let's get on to the next thing here. Let's get on to the funny stuff now. Well, this one's not really funny. Just what would one actually need this for? Well, I mean, if you use ChatGPT, you'll know it's kind of helpful for a lot of little things. I don't know. It's hard to trust. My buddy Tyler, the guy that I used to do the podcast with, he uses it all the time for all kinds of stuff. So he swears by it. He said he used to use it all the time for the podcast for like the meta tags and all that kind of stuff. He used to get all that stuff on it. He just plop it into ChatGPT and it would just populate it all. So I don't know. I don't use the AI stuff. Not yet. Or, admittedly, I probably should get on it, but I don't. Yeah, you use it a lot too, Joe? Yeah. I just don't. I probably should, because I'm going to end up finding myself behind on it, and then I'm going to be trying to play catch up. But for now, I don't know. I just don't. All right. Let me get this one here. Okay. All right. This isn't funny. I know. I'm probably going to laugh a couple times when I say this, but it's not funny. A woman was swallowed whole by a python in Indonesia. That's not funny. It's strange. That's what it is. Not funny. All right, I'm going to read this article. This is USA Today. You're welcome, USA Today, you dumpster fire. I'm going to read an article by you, even though it'll be USA to die soon. All right, here we go. Missing woman found inside 16-foot python after it reportedly swallowed her whole in Indonesia. Apparently, it's a problem in Indonesia with these big old pythons. Officials in Indonesia say a missing woman was swallowed by a 16-foot reticulated python, and a video circulating online shows her body being cut out of the snake's stomach. Ugh. The family of the 45-year-old woman reported her missing on Thursday after her husband said she had failed to return home in South Sulawesi, according to multiple media outlets citing AFP. South Sulawesi is a province on the island of Sulawesi. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Surrounded by the Flores Sea. Her body was discovered inside the large snake by her husband and members of the Kelimpang village on Friday after he went looking for her, according to the AFP. Her husband found her belongings, which made him suspicious. The village chief, Suwardi Rosie, told AFP. The villagers then searched the area. They soon spotted a python with a large belly. They agreed to cut open the python's stomach. As soon as they did, Farida's body head was immediately visible. Ugh. Imagine that. You just cut a snake open. Hi. Oh. I don't think she said hi though. Pythons can kill a person in a matter of minutes and swallow them within an hour. Jeez. Footage posted by the Daily Mail and TMZ shows a large python in a wooded area with a large object inside it. The disturbing video shows someone with her foot on the snake and later shows someone cutting the object out of the snake. I would suggest you don't go look at that, but you're probably going to, because curiosity does kill the cat. In this case, the snake, but curiosity to see what's in that stomach, we all knew. A black and white plaid blanket is seen covering a portion of the snake. Later in the footage posted by Daily Mail, a group of men are seen carrying what appears to be the woman's body past a group of grieving people. The outlet reported the woman was fully clothed inside the snake's stomach. Jeez, man. So freshly in there. It didn't even really digest anything. Imagine that, it just eats the clothes. Ugh, it's going to make for a weird poop, I think. So a grandmother also found swallowed whole in python. This is a problem. We're not mentioning how much of a problem these pythons swallowing people whole are. But it seems to be a problem over in Indonesia. The fatality is not the first time a person was swallowed whole by a python in Indonesia. In October 2022, a 54-year-old grandmother was found swallowed whole by one in Jambi, a city on the Indonesian island of Sumatra. The grandmother's family reported her missing after they say she went to collect rubber on a plantation near her home and did not return home. Batar Jambi Police Chief S. Harafa reportedly said when her husband went to look for her, he found only her sandals, jacket, headscarf, and a knife. The woman was later found in the snake's stomach with her body largely intact. Yikes. Okay, well, listen, I did laugh. I apologize for laughing. It's funny in a weird way. 16-foot snakes are eating whole people. At least it's not here. If it were here, I think if I lived in a place where a 16-foot snake has a chance of eating me whole, I'm just gonna move. I think that's where the snake lives. That's snake's home. I think it's meant for people. But yeah, weird story. Sorry for the laugh. I shouldn't have. But sad news anyway. Still wearing her leaves. Hold on. Let me see. I had to catch up here. Shouldn't the python story read the other way around? Man bites dog, sort of. Sort of. I mean, it didn't bite her, it just swallowed her. I mean, I wonder with the python, I don't even know. Do pythons, are they like boa constrictors where they, where they just crush you and then they eat you? Or do they bite you and, poison you? Do they, I don't know, like when they bite you, does it just paralyze you and then you're being eaten alive or being swallowed alive, I should say, and you're aware of it happening? I don't know, man. Grotesque. Like I said, I live somewhere where there's 16-foot snakes that could eat me. I'm just probably not going to live there. I don't know, I'm just going to move. I wouldn't even live somewhere where there was like an inch long cockroach. I'm just going to move too. So gross. All right. Let me get on to the next thing. My clown world story. Okay. So anybody who watches this podcast, I'll say this every time, you know how much I love Clown World on X. They post some of the funniest stuff. I thought this video would be pretty funny. It'd be a good way to end the podcast here. Show you how instant karma can get you sometimes. Let me just play this. It's only like 20 seconds, and then we'll just laugh and we'll react. So here we go.
Damn!
So you can see, throwing. Cowards run, get in the car. Here we go. Take off. Oh, nothing bad could happen here, could it? Oh!
They just got smacked.
Feel sorry for the person in the white car, though. Yeah, that's funny. It looks like the same white car just passed by. Here, check this out. Come on. Check. What's this right here? All right, see that car? Look at that. See that car? Woo! Okay, now let's fast forward and see. Here we go.
Oh, here they get outside. Damn!
Almost look like the same car.
They just got smacked.
That's close. There's a lot of cars look alike in that area. But yeah, perfect karma. Perfect. Gotta love that when you see that kind of stuff. I feel bad. Like, again, I feel sorry for the other driver because not karma for them. Unless, I don't know, maybe it was. Maybe it's double karma. Who knows? But good to see these idiots get caught up right away. If that were my house or my car or whatever and somebody hit it and then I saw them go and crash, I'd probably just go over and punch them in the face anyway, even if they're lying in the car kind of all shaken up. But either way, funny stuff. That's what karma will get you when you do stupid shit. Sometimes it gets you right away. Is that Get out of here. Is that serious? Are you serious? Do you actually live near there? Or are you just being funny? It did say it's Detroit, though. Let me see. It says, yeah. So, do you actually live in Detroit, Joe, or are you just outside? Because I think we talked about this before. I have friends that live in Rochester Hills. I've been to Detroit a few times. I actually went to Detroit one time, and they closed the I-9. Is it the 90? I guess it is. I-90. They closed it, and I had to go through downtown Detroit at like 12 at night. And I didn't stop at stoplights. I just kind of, I treated them like yields, essentially. Well, that's funny. Yeah, so yeah, you're pretty close. I could be there in about 3.5 hours, so we're both not that far. But yeah, Karma will get you over there, I guess. Oh yeah, so okay, so you're probably in the nicer suburbs of Detroit. Detroit's kind of like Toronto. It's got, you know, a bunch of different suburbs. There's nice ones, and then there's kind of like, you know, a little bit sketchy ones. So, but yeah, all right. Well, that's it. That's all I got as far as you know, news topics and such. So, we can just wrap for a little while. We can just chat for a little while. We're only at 46 minutes. My brother's coming over soon, so I'm gonna chill with my brother for a little bit. But yeah, Detroit. I don't know. Detroit was obviously back in the heyday. You know, Motor City, great place to live. And I don't know, bad policies. I don't really know what got Detroit, but yeah, big cities. Big cities are gross. The city I live in it's getting bigger because, you know, we're GTA, so it's close enough to Toronto that everything's kind of moving out from Toronto, and so this area is getting kind of bad. But and with the immigration policies in Canada, it's just open borders at this point, and there's just tons more people in these areas, so it's getting a little bit tough. So I'm not against immigration. I'm actually for it, but I just think if you got a place that's already a bit congested, maybe have immigration somewhere else, like have them go somewhere else. Problem is everybody wants to convene to the most densely populated places, right? Because that's where all the opportunities are. So I don't hate on them, but you know, that's when you got to stop them from coming in. Say, look, sorry, it's like taking too many people on a boat. You know, it's gonna sink. You want to know what city I'm in? Well, I might as well say it. I'm in Hamilton, so it's we're like close to Toronto. So yeah, so it's at this point, I'm about an hour out of Toronto, not even south of Toronto. But at this point now, it's like GTA. They just call it all Greater Toronto Area. So we're our highway systems are brutal around here now. They're probably the busiest in North America. So awful stuff. And our friend Joe here is he's down in Michigan, so he's not very far from me at all either. He's probably come to Canada quite a few times. Yeah, half Africa's coming here too. India, Africa, they're all coming. They're all coming here. We have lots of room. Lots of room. You can come, but not as much room in like southern Ontario. Maybe just like, you know, the prairies and stuff. And we got I think we got about 39 million people in Canada, something like that. We could probably fit, and we got the landmass of like, we could probably, you know, we could probably have 400 million, but nobody wants to live in all the places that are very, you know, sparsely populated. You've been to strip clubs in Windsor? Yeah, that's funny. I've been to the casino in Windsor, not the strip clubs. Strip clubs in Windsor, that's sketchy, buddy. Windsor's a sketchy city. So I don't know. Do they have all their teeth? If they have all their teeth, that's good, I guess. Oh, you've never been east of the Rockies? Oh, but you've been to the States then. So I've been through the Rockies. I've been to the Rockies essentially in Canada. I've been in Alberta, and I've been down in Colorado. So, but I haven't actually I've just driven through them. I haven't been actually in them, you know, like skied or any of that kind of shit. I don't know, whatever you do in the Rockies. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, we're at 50 minutes. That's it. I'm done. You need to go to bed, by the way, because it's, what is it, like 2? It's got to be, what, 2 in the morning? 2 in the morning for you? So you got to go to bed. I appreciate you on the podcast, so that's awesome. I love that you show up. So if you're a Nighthawk like me, come join the podcast. You're always welcome. All right, for everybody else that was watching or is watching or whatever, if you've jumped in, you haven't jumped in, if you aren't yet a subscriber to the channel, subscribe to the channel. If you like the channel, if you don't like the channel, well, then just leave it alone. You know, don't do anything. Or comment, make a bad comment, as long as it's funny. Make a negative comment. I'm cool with that. That's engagement. So engage with the podcast, engage with the videos. If you've missed any one of these topics that I've talked about and you don't want to watch the whole podcast again, I don't blame you. You can catch them all during the week from Tuesday through Sunday. I drop them at 5 p.m. Obviously, share, like, comment on those. That helps the algorithm push the content, because right now certain things I talk about on this podcast are not pushed. So it's a bit rough. So you can help the podcast by doing that if you like it. If not, well, you know what? Whatever. That's fine. My feelings aren't hurt. Oh, you grew up on Vancouver Island. That's cool. Yeah. So you're a dual citizen. Okay. Well, listen, thanks for joining us. Everyone that did. Stay well, you as well. Thanks for joining in the chat, Joe. Thanks for joining the, you know what? I forget your damn name, Line in the Sand. You've told me before, I'm sure, but it's easy for me to remember Joe's. Well, it was easy for me to remember at first because it's in his damn name. But yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for jumping into the comments. Makes it fun for me to do the podcast. I've got people to talk to. And for anyone else, thanks for watching. You can catch the next one next week, 7 p.m. Eastern, I should say, if you're on a different time zone. So 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Catch me here. And if you haven't, jump into the comments. You know, I don't bite. So thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.